Sheehan Harald, who plays Jace in the film. Put your hands together for Jamie Campbell Bower. As well as that, taking the role of Simon, please welcome Robert Sheehan. And last but by no means least, she plays Clary in the film. It's Lily Collins. Fantastic to have you all here. If you do wish to tweet throughout this, feel free. The hashtag is Mortal Instruments, so you may have your phones out to do that. If I can ask, if you do want photos, we do those at the end rather than throughout the Q&A. That would be marvellous. All right, usually featuring a male as the lead. Was the idea of telling a coming-of-age story with such a strong female character in the lead role one of the things that attracted you to this film?
Yeah, you could say that Karate Kid was a bit for my son, and this one was for Stella, my daughter, who needs some good role models. She's way too young to see the movie, but she saw it before the monsters were added, so she loved it then. And now I think she's going to be terrified.
Nightmare.
Yes.
Because it really doesn't pull any punches. That's everyone's seen the movie now. We can talk about the finer points. The demon dog at the start. Wow, that's something out of a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the idea that you know, people ask me, so didn't you consider your audience before this? And I just wanted to make a really great movie that I'd love to watch too. And to dumb things down just because people are young, I don't think we need to do that. And I think they can take quite a few things. I think audiences today are much more sophisticated than when I was young, which isn't that long ago, by the way. Not age myself too much here, but and I think people like to be scared. And as long as I was constantly thinking, what would I show my own kids? And I think as long as there's not too much gore and blood and that speculative action, or actually girls in jeopardy, which I think is a little boring after a while. They need to stand up for themselves. I think they can absolutely take a few good jumps. And I was inspired by The Exorcist and the good old Thing, the original Thing. I love the idea of something cracking apart and trying to reassemble itself. And I try to make it as realistic as possible.
Well, while we're on the subject of a female character who isn't just in any way a damsel in distress, Lily, I mean, she is, I am imagining, a dream for an actress to play, because she is that rare thing, which is a really strong female lead character in a film. Is that what attracted you to the part?
Yeah, I guess the fact that Clary is very normal. She cries, she's confused, she's going through an identity crisis, which I know I sure did. I don't think anyone really ever fully gets over. But she embraces that, and she finds the strength in her weaknesses. And she ends up kicking major butt and hanging with the guys, but all the while still having those very feminine young girl moments that make her very real. So I think it was kind of this journey that she goes on, but never losing sight of how she actually is very normal as well. Because I think it's too easy to play it very superhuman, but that's not relatable to the normal person. So that's what really drew me to her.
And on the subject of kicking butt, she does kick butt alongside your character, Jamie. Jace is, I mean, he is a cool guy. I think he's kind of like a guy most guys would like to be, where he's a mysterious stranger who turns up, is incredibly charming, and can slay demons with one hand tied behind his back. He must have been a fun role.
Yeah, he's everything that I'm not, basically. Performance is always a very cathartic process for me, and I'm not particularly cool, put it that way. He was a great character to play. It was tough. It was. I put a lot of work and a lot of effort into it. A lot of the characters that I've played beforehand have been fairly, let's say, soft or rounded physically. So in order to sort of unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, you have the book and there's the guy there with his shirt off and he's looking pretty buff and pretty hench, and so you have to, I had to sort of get into that sort of physical shape. But I've always liked to push myself. I've always liked to sort of challenge myself in some way, shape or form. I think that, without that, I'd sort of probably get quite bored. I have quite short attention span, as you might be able to tell. It was fun and it was difficult, but, learning how to sort of hone my skills in the terms of stunts and fighting was was a real joy, But I did come out of it the other side going, oh, oh, thank you. Thank God, it's Christmas.
And the other character of this triumvirate we're talking about now, played by yourself, Robert, is Simon. Now, he's kind of like the eyes and ears of the audience to this fantastical world. And he deals with seeing a lot of this stuff in a very funny way. I love the line, "The werewolves are coming to save us." I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
And was he a fun character for you to play, or did you kind of, some of the time, want a sword in your hand and out there demon slaying?
Yeah, there's always comedy to be juiced from being the guy at the back of the group who's not doing any of the slaying, he's doing all of the cowering. And also, tumbling into this world and being the normalized on this very, very abnormal world, you get to kind of frown and ask, what the hell is going on every 5 or 10 minutes, And it's true, the audience do need someone like that. And it is myself, and it's also Lily's character, Clary, who is very much the normal person tumbling into this crazy world. But yeah, it was lovely fun. And the good thing about Simon and about keeping that was Harold saying, look, it's got to be real. It's got to be real because my instinct tends to be toward performance and toward gesticulating wildly in every direction. You may have seen it in my other work, but it was very much Harald Zwart reining me back and going, it's got to be real. It's got to be absolutely real. This guy is is very normal, somewhat elitist, somewhat bookish, So it was very much. It was kind of new discovery for me, and it was real fun, really, really enjoyable.
All right, do we have any questions from the floor right now? It's a simple hand in the air. Yes, right there.
Hello, I'm Katie from Monday Mum.
Hello, Katie from Monday Mums.
I was just wondering, I saw the film, it was amazing.
I think the first one that I remember, just kind of my jaw dropped, and very reminiscent of the scene actually. Jamie opened the door to the Institute Library for me to just see it for the first time, and I just stood there, my mouth open, just like Clary, because I was a huge fan of the books, before I was cast. So you automatically picture what you assume it's going to look like, and it, for me, was hands down exactly how I pictured, if not even better. And the depth of the sets and the intricacy of all the props that you never even saw. I mean, there were bookcases of books with what you would think is just a spine of a book, but it was complete, like, novels that you never really knew existed, and all the weapons and the things that were made for it. So really, that set to me was just pure magic. Yeah.
And we have another question from the man in the grey t-shirt just behind you. So yes.
Hi Lily, question for you. You mentioned about kicking butt in the film. Did you have to do any training to get into shape for the movie, and what was the hardest thing you had to do?
Yeah, we all did actually. I mean, Robbie did train, but
Except me,
not as much.
my training was very much sleep. Just have a sleep in, The rest of them are going to go and do stunt choreography. You just show up for the filming bit and put a t-shirt on.
Or take the t-shirt off.
Exactly, ladies, that also happens.
Yeah, no, I trained for 3 months before filming out in Los Angeles, and then every day before, during, or after work with the stunt department, as well as our physical fitness trainer. I've always been an active person, though, and I really enjoy getting down and bruised, I guess. Especially with this one, I have to hang with all the guys and keep up in heels and a very short dress for the guys. No.
Why are you two getting all sexy? Robbie's staring at ladies and going, for the lads. what do I think? Like dogs, anyone?
Everyone has to be covered.
I was just jealous of the heels,
Well, yeah, Kevin got to wear platforms, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I guess the hardest part for me physically was that I didn't train in the outfits except for the day before, and then I'm thrust into it with these heels and this dress. And as Lily, it was very awkward, but I could just pawn it off on Clary. So I never twisted an ankle, and I barely tripped. I just bruised a lot. battle scars.
You're going to do a lot more butt kicking in the second one.
Yes, but the heels are lower.
Yeah.
What's the vitamin that stops you bruising? Like
Arnica.
vitamin K or something.
Arnica, I take it every day.
Iron pills also.
Iron or, we need to
It
boost
doesn't
your-
make a difference on me.
Vitamin B12.
Like porcelain.
It's a better word than pale. Thank you.
Like a geisha doll.
There you go.
Yes, you
Yeah,
said it.
hi, I've got a question for Jamie. I interviewed you some years ago when you were doing a TV series called The Prisoner.
Yeah.
And you said, perhaps jokingly then, that you'd always have some kind of body art, a tattoo, to mark each of your projects. I wondered if that's still true, and if you had anything to mark the filming of this movie.
Yeah, I'm getting. I was actually meant to go in today, but the tattoo parlour around the corner, First Street's closed today. It's where I get most of my stuff done. Yeah, I'm getting. I am after all what you made me, which is a quote from one of the books, one of the later books, with 2 roses on my back. But like recently, I got a skull and a cross in my arm, and back of my legs all done. So yeah.
This one is very good. It's a ball and chain.
That's
That was
from
from
The
The Prisoner. That
Yes,
was
it's number 6.
Yeah, we need to cover it all up every day when we see it.
Was it easy to do?
It's my own stupid
Thanks,
fault
Jamie.
that I'm sitting in there for like 5 hours, 6 hours.
And yet you've gotten 5 since the last movie.
Yeah.
You already had 4 hours. Joe is going to kill you.
Yeah. Well, I've got conversations with Gersha going on next week, our costume designer, so I think there'll be a lot
Long
of long sleeves and gloves.
Was it quite hard to do to cover Jamie up for each day? Was it?
Was it good?
No, was it quite hard to do to cover you up in the way?
Yeah. I mean, it took about 4 hours to cover up and then to put on the tattoos over the top. But
Why did you just tattoo the tattoos we need in the
That's what Kevin said.
We were coming back
That's
for
what
movie 2 at
Kevin
that
said,
time.
didn't he? Kevin said he wants to get the neck one,
Yeah, that's
and then
full
just
on,
pay
though.
have you guys pay for it to be removed at the end of the series.
They fade. That's the problem with these runes, isn't it? They don't stay permanent.
It's true.
Yeah.
But I quite like having them there. I quite like having them sort of there underneath the makeup and the skin. I still sort of like to know that I'm still Jamie underneath all that at the end of the day. Like, that's sort of one of the reasons that I have them. It's like just so that it's me, wherever I go, I know who I am.
Yes, a question that just there.
Hi, Sharon from IrishShadowHunterFans.com.
Irish Shadow Hunter fans. Oh my God, it's good to have you here.
Great to be here.
It's about time, women.
It's actually a question. We met Jamie a couple of weeks ago in the event with Cassandra, and I know I asked you a question at the time. So this is for Rob and Lily. Jamie, I suppose you've already been involved in like a big franchise and the whole media hype leading up to a big franchise, and I just want to know how you guys are dealing with everything that's kind of the whole build up to the release of the movie and the hype and expectation of the movie.
Well, I think these guys have been on more of a significant promotional tour than me. I was doing a small film, and so I wasn't available up until I was at Comic-Con and then the LA press and then Toronto, and so even just that has just turned me upside down. Seriously, it's been fairly hysterical. There's been a feverish anticipation amongst the fans, and every time we show up to a premiere, there's hundreds of fans that have been there for 12 hours camped out. And it absolutely bowls me over. I mean, I remember we were in Toronto and we'd done some stuff, and then the next day we got up for morning television, myself and yourself, and then I promptly went back to bed after morning television, and then got back up, and I was kind of just, having done a premiere like the night or the night before, the thoughts of another premiere ahead was
There's a lot of work for Robbie when he does premieres. He doesn't go to bed.
But it was just
I mean, it's self-imposed, obviously.
But it was just kind of mustering the energy and the enthusiasm. But the thing is, once I got there, the fanaticism and the energy just absolutely just coasted me along, and it was just infectious, and that was due to the fans. So everything has been, for me, thankfully, adrenaline has kicked in the key moments, like right now, for example. So yeah, it's been an absolute eye opener. I mean, Comic-Con was my first real direct, it was my first experience of the expectation. Like my first eyewitness, experience, because I'm not a very savvy social media person. I'm not on kind of checking the traffic. I don't really know how to use Twitter very well. So it was there that I first realised, wow, you know, the anticipation's huge. And since then, it's been building and building, and it's, you know, when we show up to premieres, it's kind of, at times it's like Beatlemania. You know, we're getting out of our cars, there's hundreds of people screaming, and it's just, it's very hard to compute at times.
My favourite thing the other day was when we were in LA and you went, God, I feel like the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, that, no, and then
Not
a fan,
quite.
Yeah, a fan. I heard a fan go, yeah, not quite. I love that.
There was about 1,000 people there.
It was silence, and then not
That was
really.
enough for me to feel like Keith Richards.
No, it's been really, I think, eye-opening because I was a fan, you know, and to go to these malls and see. With every one, it progressively gets more exciting. There's more people, there's more screams, more weird anecdotes. It's very special to see, be there hands-on, see them up close and personal, and it's just, I guess the weirdest moments for me are like in Los Angeles when I go to a mall that I've shopped at since I was 12, and now there's like massive pictures of our faces everywhere, and at my local coffee shops now, there's like all these billboards and people wearing like the T-shirts and stuff. It's very strange, but it's really exciting. And I don't think there's any way that you can ever fully prepare. I wouldn't want to prepare for anything because I like the spontaneity of it all, and I want everything to be as exciting as it should be. Because when you set an expectation, either it's above or below. But if you set nothing, then it is what it is. And it makes it special regardless.
And you're Keith Richards.
Exactly.
Bang.
Just roll up.
Yeah.
My first meeting was just I went to a book signing with Cassandra at the LA Book Festival, and my wife and I went, and we went into the building, and I was, oh God, all those people, what are they waiting for? And then we went inside, and we realized that line around that building connected with the one into our, and there
Clean up on all three areas.
they were in stitches as he was wearing them.
Over and over and
in
over.
there. If you look very closely at some of the sun scenes, you can see that there's like rips appearing and then disappearing, and like no, I'll continue to brilliant. Please, I'll do the second movie. Love you.
I think for as annoying and impractical as they were, I think the boots, just because they kind of symbolize Clary. I mean, she's delicate like a petal, but she's also like a tough cookie. So to be able to wear those boots and do all the things that I did, and to still keep up with the guys, I think was pretty cool. And it's also trained me to run around the city in heels when need be.
Clary's like an armadillo.
Thank you.
Hard on the outside and soft on the inside, you know?
She's like an onion, she has layers.
My favourite was
Yeah.
my favourite was my big directorial jacket that I could wear whenever they were freezing.
I hated you that day.
Oh, don't even.
Oh.
Remember that?
Remember those rain machines?
Yes, I do.
They had a special ability to make you absolutely soaked to the bone in about 4 seconds of them being on. And we spent a whole evening shooting one of those babies.
And it made your acting so much.
It made me, yeah. All that shivering on camera.
Yes, it's real.
Yes.
Hi guys, congratulations on a fantastic film first of all.
Thank you very much.
I guess obviously at the heart of what is this really big epic fantasy adventure is quite a relatable love triangle. And I guess my first question is what it was like for you to work on that, and specifically for Lily, for Clary, why do you think it's important to have two very different relationships for both Simon and Dick?
First, I think it's somewhat of a love cube. You gotta remember Alex. Love Jane. I think, I don't know, I've not been in a love cube before.
There's actually a nightclub in London. It's called Love Cube.
Yeah, no, I think, when Jamie walked into the first audition room, that was pretty much just it. Like, right away, it was created. Whatever was needed to be created was created. And then we both walked into the room with Robbie, and then they are so different in real life that they embody their characters perfectly in those different ways, and I'm just kind of in the middle of these two competing characters. And so I don't think there was any work needed to be done when it came to like this triangle situation, because they both, we were so open to improv on the set, and it kind of was like, and I've said this, my Clary is only the Clary that she was because Jamie was his Jace, and then entered Robbie and he became Simon. So I think it's never, I mean, it's weird to be in the middle of two guys. That's, again, not something that I've done. But you can imagine, it's pretty weird.
Well, we can relate.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's important for Clary because it's kind of like having the angel and the devil on your shoulders. She's just figuring out who she is, and sometimes it takes figuring out what you don't like to know what you do, or what you do like to know what to avoid. And, you know, she sees pros and cons in both Jace and Simon, and she finds pieces of herself within both people. And I think it's really about her. The romance never defines Clary, which I really loved about this particular franchise, is that it's not just a girl stuck between two guys. It's a girl who, you know, finds herself in a situation, but she never lets it victimize her or define her journey. So I think it's important to have two types of men, because there are more than two types of men in this world. I mean, you could easily categorize them in two categories, but I won't. No, I'm just saying there are ways. No, exactly. The good, the bad. So yeah, I think I don't know. She finds pieces of herself within each person, and I think to have that physical choice is just a metaphorical kind of exploration of herself.
I think, you know, also, I think every character goes on their own journey, you know. Jace is a shadow hunter prior to the movie starting. Jace is, you know, that's he goes out there and he kills demons and he sort of protects the human world. His world is turned upside down by her introduction, so his entire motivation and, you know, shift is because of her entrance. Now then, I don't want to speak on Robert's behalf here, but, you know, Simon has been someone who's been a part of Clary's life, and so, you know, he is thrown into the world of the shadow hunters, and then he's trying to find his voice at the same time. So it was never something that, you know, we came at together and went, this is the main focus of our story. You know, the main focus is actually the journey that each character specifically has to go on, which is what makes it an ensemble and actually what makes it an interesting piece. Because you can relate to every single character. I can see bits of myself in all of them. You know, there's not one character that I think, oh, I don't understand what that person's going through. So, you know, I think for each of us, we were very focused on, you know, our own journey within our own sort of love story, I suppose.
The thing about it as well is Simon very much, even as he's tumbling into this crazy other world, you know, in a way, Clary is very much his focus. You know, she's the hand that he's holding on to, and it's funny that you know, as he's experiencing this world, the thing I think that irks him the most is not, you know, all of the downworlders and the demonic forces. It's the fact that Clary is falling for this other guy, you know, and that's probably the thing that for Simon, because I think, you know, probably he's an old romantic, but that he's kind of seeing this happen. That's kind of the subtext, I think, for his journey, until of course he puts his hand to the fire and declares his love for her. So it was nice, you know, because that's his focus, you know, that's his thread through this world. Yeah.
I think we've got time for one more question, and then we're going to have to wrap this up. So no pressure, but this is going to be the final question.
Very awesome.
Make it good. Have you put your hand down, basically? No, you can't.
That wasn't a good question anyway.
Can't handle the pressure. Okay, I'll go for it. Sorry, it's not very inventive. But Jamie mentioned earlier a little bit about some of the pressures that you face when you're casting such well-loved characters, and I wondered if you could Harold could just talk us through a little bit of the casting process, and also about how you got some of the older characters involved, like Lena. Sorry, Lena, calling you older, but some of the older cast members like Lena Headey and Aidan.
Yeah, well, Lily was already on board when I decided to do the movie. She was part of the reason why I wanted to do the movie. And then Jamie was a hot candidate. I was aware of some of the chit-chat about out there. I completely ignored that. I thought that was totally irrelevant. I thought he was absolutely perfect. And in my mind, I always keep thinking something that I learned from advertising is that you shouldn't give people what they want. They deserve so much better. And so I thought the two of them were already perfect. And then he was, he didn't look anything like Simon. So we had to do a little bit of, see with the glasses and just envision him. And I thought also did a fantastic job in your accent, which is also completely convincing. So these guys were pretty much already the really hottest candidates. And like I said, I had conversations with Cassandra, and we looked at the chatter online, and we decided we're going to go for the ones we think is best, because you can never avoid that stuff. I think, like Jared and Lena, I just wanted the movie to be filled with incredibly great actors, just like the Harry Potter series. No matter how tiny the part is, they're really, really great actors delivering the lines with the biggest conviction. I think Alec also, his character is a complex character, which I think is quite a ballsy move of him, and he does it very, very well. And funny enough, Isabel was the one that, doing this in Hollywood, you get presented with the hotties.
We did readings with the hotties.
Yeah, we did readings with the hotties, and then finally it was like, but none of them were Isabel, because we didn't want her to be just that. We wanted her to be a little more, and we looked high and low and found Jemima in Paris. She lives in Paris. She's more French than British, and I think she's an incredible right idea. She was maybe not as much as what the fans wanted, but she's a very smart and intelligent, incredibly, matter-of-factly and tough girl. So I felt all the way that I felt very confident in what I wanted, and I had the support of Cassandra. And then we just decided to basically, more or less ignore if some of the fans, because they weren't all of them. I mean, what Jamie's saying is there were just a few. Overall, there was a great response to Jamie, and it's just that, like Jamie's saying, these very few have a very loud voice all of a sudden through the media. But I guess you just have to trust your own instincts.
I liked your description of Jemima just then.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. You could have just gone,
she's French.
It's very matter of fact, very straight down the line. Very smart, intelligent, beautiful woman. She's just incredibly Parisian. And
Guys, thank you very much for all your questions. That's all the time we have.
Thank you, guys.
But let's hear it from Harald Zwart.